Welcome to this hybrid meeting of the Civic Licensing Committee. I would remind all attendees that this meeting is being recorded and webcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. I would remind all remote attendees to mute their microphones when not speaking, unless they wish to speak, and they should do so by raising their hands remotely. Can I also remind members attending hybrid meetings which are quasi-judicial matters are being, where quasi-judicial matters are being considered, they will not be permitted to participate by audio only and must have their video and camera functions switched on at all times. Start with item 1, apologies for absence.
Yes, Convener, there's apologies from Councillor Gregg and Councillor Gavin Nicholl. We've got Councillor Jill Scott attending remotely, and the rest of the members are in the chamber.
Thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest and statements of transparency. Do we have any? No? Okay, on to item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. Can we agree that these are a true record of the meeting? Item 4, exclusion of the public and press. The committee are asked to note that the public and press will be excluded from the meeting during consideration of item 9, so as to avoid disclosing confidential information in terms of section 50A brackets 2 and brackets 3 brackets B to the Local Government Scotland Act 1973. On to item 5, delegated approvals, page 8 on your papers. Are we happy to note these delegated approvals? Move to item 6, which is page 15, sorry. And this is short-term let applications. And we have the first one, A, short-term lets Woodside House by Arbroath. The applicant at Nandor, is Nandor with us or online? No?
Yeah, he should be online. He was on, oh, he's left.
I think we had him, but he's gone. You just check he's not. We have him in the waiting room, we'll just admit. I don't see him. Have you got him on?
Yeah, he's on. If you just maybe ask Mr. Is there Nandor? Are you there?
Hello, Nandor, are you there?
I think you've got yourself on mute.
Okay. Nandor, can you take mute off?
Couldn't hear us previously. Do we want to deal with...
Councillor Scott, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say that the gentleman couldn't hear the meeting. I think that's why he left.
Oh, right. He's back in again. Yeah. Nandor, can you hear me? Bear with us. Nandor, can you hear us?
Yes, now I can. I restarted. Good morning.
Good morning. We're just looking at your application. I wonder if you would like to talk to the committee about your application.
Yes. So this is Woodside House, which is a divided country house. I have been owning the main part of this house since '98, and we have decided to go down the holiday let route, which started about, I think, 2.5 years ago, which was reasonably successful. And then we are now complying and applying for the licensing authorization. And I think we are progressing. There were two main issues I understand from the report. We had a little bit of delay with the advertisement of the licensing, but this has been completed. Mainly the delays are related to some holidays. My manager was away, so we could not really communicate the exact details, but I have confirmed to the licensing office that the display was achieved between May the 25th and the June the 22nd. We have picture evidence for both at the Forfar Road display and at the house. So that is completed, but apologies for the delay. And the other main issue is that before the licensing, we had full fire safety reports and arrangements and regular checkups. But as part of the licensing, we had an extended fire safety assessment. And I have to say that all these communications are fantastic between the fire safety office and us. But there are some new aspects that we need to comply with the licensing. And we are progressing on that. We have provided a time period and a time scan for the recommendation. And also, shortly after that, we conducted a major private fire safety assessment, which we have now like a 30-page document. There are two main aspects of it. There is lots of little things that we need to comply with, and again, we are doing that, but there were two main aspects. For this particular licensing, we would need to extend the fire detection system. That actually has been completed 3 weeks ago. And the other main thing is that we have a number of doors. This is listed properties, but the doors are not listed. But we came to a discussion that rather than replacing all the doors, there is an opportunity to seal them. Now, we have plans for this, but this requires major activity with tradesmen, and we are in the process. But we have a timeline for that, and I think everything is on track.
Thank you very much for that. I note that the ECP have no objections. With that, I'll move to questions. Councillor Whiteside.
Thanks, Convener. Do we have a representative from Scottish Fire and Rescue available? No. No. Can I ask? Sorry.
That was me, sorry.
Can the applicant confirm the timescale for completion of the works that is required to satisfy Scottish Fire and Rescue?
The world is ranging July, August, and the fire door, I think, is down to October the 15th. But I had the document open somewhere for the exact date, but I think it's down to the October deadline.
Members, there was an email circulated from Fiona last night, well, 13:07 yesterday, from Scottish Fire and Rescue, which provides the 31st of October 2024 as deemed to be reasonable. I don't know if you have that email.
Yeah, I think that's That is my recollection.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any comments? No.
Councillor, just further to the email, it does state that Scottish Fire and Rescue Service will now remain in dialogue with the duty holder. However, we continue to be unable to support this application until the works have been completed and the risk within the premises is reduced. Just to narrate what they've said from their email.
Councillor Clark.
Concerns me a wee bit, Chair.
Councillor Scott.
I don't think I put my hand up, Councillor Meehan, sorry, but yeah, no, I'm a bit concerned about this as well.
I think it was maybe your gesture, your facial gesture that.
I was probably just nodding, agreeing with Linda, to be honest.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Braze.
Yeah, well, I too am very uncomfortable about this. There's a reason why Scottish Fire and Rescue are asked to go and do the work they do surrounding these applications, etc. And they're quite clear that they're not able to support this application at this time until that work has been completed. I think I'm right in saying that.
That's what the email said. I was just reading verbatim from the email. Members, just to point you back to the report, the recommendations are to grant subject to standard and additional conditions, but there is the option to defer the application for a period not exceeding 6 months from the date of the application, or obviously to refuse. We have a Civic Licensing Committee on the 14th of November, just to give you that sort of detail, matter for you what you want to do in terms of the recommendations. I see the applicant has his hand up.
Hello, Nandor. Do you want to?
Sorry, the echo. We had extended discussion with Jet from the fire enforcement. In those discussions, he made it clear that this will not cancel our application at the moment, and that we had a very, very productive dialogue. So I would like to ask the committee to make the deferred judgment, because I think we are on track, and what we are hoping is that we complete word by word all the recommendations before that agreed timeline. And when we discuss this, all the aspects, actually there was no further comments that this timeline is out of possibilities. And from these discussions, we were quite assured that we have proper time for completing those works. Now, this property has been in operation without any incidents, and I think this in the meantime there was a higher expectations, probably because of the square meters of this property. This is actually in discussions, because I think that was overestimated and never measured. But my point is that we already demonstrated within a month that we complied with many of those quite significantly, including the fire detection system. And the other issue, the doors, is underway, but it requires some time for a very specific tradesman to complete the work.
Thank you for that. I don't think the committee, well, I think the committee understands the work that's actually gone into this. But of course, we have to make a decision as a committee. Councillor Durno.
Thanks, Convener. Can we defer to the next civil to let him get a chance to get his doors painted and get all these things done, and then we can look at it, because then obviously he would be able to open for any Christmas trade that was coming.
Yeah, I think with that we'll move to recommendations. If people are happy with that, and recommendation 1 is to grant the application. 2, to grant the application subject to standard and or any additional conditions. Or 3, to defer the application for a period not exceeding 6 months from the date of the application. Or 4, to refuse the application on one or more of the grounds referred to in paragraph 5. I'll now ask members for, we've got Councillor Clark.
Yeah, I'd feel an awful lot better, Chair, if we can, we're certainly giving the applicant every chance to do what he needs to do, but if we can defer it to the 17th, and Councillor Durnwell's remark is well founded, it will be in time for Christmas. I know it's disappointing, but, you know, we have to be safe.
Anyone else? Do you have a seconder? Councillor Melville. Yeah, sorry? Sorry, I missed you there, Jill. But we have a seconder, so...
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that unanimous? Agreed. Bear with me, yeah.
Sorry, it was just for clear how long the deferral is for.
To the, was it the 14th of November? It will be deferred, the decision will be deferred until, or the application will be deferred until the 14th of November. Okay? Agreed. You understand that, Mr. Mando?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that takes us on to item 7, which is page 20 of the papers. This is short-term lets applications. And we start with A, 12D Hill Terrace, and that's in Montefieth. And the applicant is Pam Warner.
Point of clarification, convener.
Yeah.
Just by way of making everybody aware, there isn't a hill terrace at Montefieth.
Yes, there are some errors in this report. It should be 12D Hill Street, Montefieth, as Councillor has stated. The applicant is actually a company, it's Millstream Grove Limited, not the individual as stated, director of the company. That just 2 things that need to be amended, admin matters. Thank you.
A note that there is a late objection to the application. Do we have the objector? Is that Stuart Clark? No. No?
He's for the applicant.
Okay.
So the objector, I don't think is present.
Right. So we don't have the objector.
Correct. Just double check, ask if anyone, in case any, but I don't think there's anyone on the call as the objector.
Is there anyone on the call that's the objector? No. No. Mr. Whiteside.
Can I just clarify, do we have the objector's emails if we decide to consider it? No.
They are available.
Okay.
Okay. The applicant will have seen the objection. Am I correct in that? It now then stands for me to ask you to give your thoughts on the reason for the lateness of the objection.
We don't know the reason for the lateness because
All right, sorry, we don't even know that.
no. Just if the person wants to address whether or
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'll start again. I wonder if the applicant wants to say anything about the late objection rather than any of the detail of the late objection, because we don't have that.
Hello.
Hello, Stuart.
Yes, hi. So I'm the management agent for Pam Warnock, who owns, sorry, I know it's a company that owns it. So I believe, I don't really think I should speak for the person that objected, but I think they should state that it was something to do with her health. But what the person who objected late, I believe, has been communication prior to this, and we'll have all our objections in the letters, which we can obviously respond to. We've communicated personally with the objector as well, not recently, but in 2022. So yeah, I'm not sure what more I can add on that side at the moment.
That's fine. Thank you very much. I mean, the next part would be that the committee would decide whether it was good enough reason for the objection being late. But since we don't have anyone to ask...
Convener, could I, sorry, through yourself, interrupt? The objector isn't IT very literate, and she has asked to phone into the meeting. I have asked the members, because we have no other way than to call her, for her to phone in, but at the moment she hasn't called into the meeting.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to refer to page 23 in the papers, which advises that the original emails to licensing were being sent to an incorrect email address. Now that may explain, although obviously we'll need to clarify this with the objector themselves, but that may explain why these objections were received late, because they weren't directed to the correct place. And you know, we want to be able to give people leeway if they're not experts at technology, because not all of us are. But obviously, if we get the chance to get her into the meeting, then that would be something that we can ask.
Thank you. Councillor Braze, did I see your hand up?
It's okay. Councillor Melville addressed my issue.
I'm not sure exactly how we move forward unless we move to recommendations, which gives us an option to defer, should we wish to allow. We can't get the person, am I correct, on the telephone?
Yeah, they've been trying to get her. She did say that if she did come into the meeting, she's currently unwell and she would be unable to speak much at the meeting, to make you aware. I think what Councillor Melville's just said is that is the reasons why it is late. The objections are late is because they've been sent to her own email address.
Councillor Melville.
Well, on that point then, I would put it to the committee that I consider that to be an acceptable reason why it's late, given we know that the objector is not particularly IT literate, and I would suggest that we, with the principles of fairness in mind, we do hear the objection, and then we can then determine the application on that basis.
Anyone else? Sorry, Councillor Clark.
Just as a wee addendum to that, because I agree with Councillor Melville, just in interest of fairness, if the person, we don't know, could be an elderly person or whatever, in the interest of fairness, if she or he would have needed somebody to help them or speak for them, would that be admissible? Because we could go around in circles if we're not careful. We have to do the right thing here, and I want to do that, but I could have just asked that would be permitted if somebody could help them. I'm sure the answer is yes, but
the objection received is in written form, and you would then be able to obviously peruse exactly what has been stated if you determine there's good reason.
Sorry, I missed what you said.
I understand there was a message put in the Teams chat to say that she's going to dial in presently. So.
Could I
Councillor-
suggest that we circulate the information if we decide to
Have you made the decision to hear it?
Well, I certainly move that we do see the email and consider it. Agreed.
We will hear, we will get sight of the late objection. Councillor Scott?
Thank you, convener. I'm just a little bit concerned because we've just been told that the lady's unwell and is not going to be able to talk very much. But now we're getting, you know, a message to say she's dialing in, and I wouldn't really like anybody to be feeling pressured if they're, you know, unwell.
Sorry, I'm going away to circulate the emails to you. I think members may find that they may need an adjournment with this because there's quite a considerable large amount of emails.
Are we agreed, or do we want to wait and see how much there is?
Given the advance warning that we've had from the officer there, I think probably we will need an adjournment then.
Okay. How long do we want to adjourn for? Think 10 minutes will do it? Okay. We'll adjourn for 10 minutes.
Okay, if you could stop. as it started, convener.
Okay, I'll start with Councillor Fotheringham, who wants to make a statement.
Thank you very much, convener. It's just a statement of transparency that I omitted to do at the start of the meeting. Agenda item number 7, report number 228/24. I did receive some emails about this application. However, with the sender's permission, I passed them to the appropriate officers and made no comment. Thank you, and I'll remain in the meeting.
Thank you for that. We have obviously already agreed to hear the late application because we have the details in front of us and we've read them. So with that, I'll move to the applicant and ask the...
Yeah, I think it's Stuart Clark.
Yeah, Stuart Clark. Stuart, would you like to talk to your application? And we'll also give you the opportunity... Has he seen the late?
Yeah, he's seen.
We'll also give you the opportunity to talk or your views on the late the late objection.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Apologies, I couldn't be there in person. So we've managed this short-term let since September 2022. Apart from the objections that we're going to hear today, we're not aware of any issues. We've welcomed guests from all around the world that are coming to visit Angus for various things, whether it's golf or events. We also have had business travellers that are working in the area that have stayed with us, and that's quite typical. We manage about 70 properties in Dundee and Angus area, and that's quite typical kind of variation of guests that we have and we welcome to the area. With the properties that we manage, we take our pride in, managing them efficiently. We don't accept parties. In the 7 years we've done this, we've had maybe about 6 or 7 parties across all of the properties that we manage. So it's just something that doesn't happen. I do appreciate that you're not only looking to hear about us saying that we don't have these things, but also what we do should things happen. So the owner of this property is a neighbour of this property. She does stay just 1 or 2 doors down. We have spoken to other neighbours, and as well as them having direct contact with the owner, you can contact us any time, and that communication remains open, even after we come to a conclusion today. So if there's any issues with a short-term let, including this one, people can contact us and we can act on it immediately if that's the correct course of action. We've got an office in Dundee, and the reason I mention that is there are 7 of us that work here. That's maintenance, that's owner and guest and neighbour communication. So we've got systems in place for these things. I don't know whether you want me to go through, I've obviously read the objections. Would you like me to go through, respond to those objections, or would you like to hear from the objector first? What would you be best for you?
Yeah, we're happy for you to comment on them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll try and just do it sort of periodically. So there was an objection to the bin taken out. I have spoken to the owner. We do have in the guest information pack, all guests receive full information on the property and what to do 24 hours prior to arrival. That includes description, it includes photographs, and that includes the bins. It's also in paper format for when they arrive, when to put the bins out, what goes in what bins. Any suggestions how to improve that, we would obviously act on that, but we think we've got that pretty tight. The owner also, every time a bin is to go out, the owner checks personally to see if that bin has been put out. And if it's not, she puts it out. If she's on holiday, she has somebody that can put it out. We're not aware of any issues with the bins. I can only tell you how we operate and what we do. There was a comment with regards to the maintenance of the communal areas outside, which are the gardens. It was mentioned that the owner, Pam, was not tending to her area or the communal. As far as we're concerned, that is simply not true. Her area is well attended. That's, the grass and the bushes and the flowers. It was actually commented that there's times that a neighbour, potentially the objector today, hasn't cut her grass and Pam has cut it or cut the communal grass. So she feels she does more than what's expected of her. There was also comments about water damage. The owner has spent £3,000 investigating what the neighbour downstairs, Yvonne, has said she hears a dripping, and she had quite rightly concerns that there was water damage to her property. So the owner, Pam, has spent £3,000 investigating. She's had plumbers out. She's had a new bathroom installed. She's had a gas engineer out multiple times. She's had specialists with cameras out. Most recent was 2 weeks ago, but that's been ongoing for a long time. The feedback has been that it's external brickwork, that the concrete pointing should be replaced by lime. And they have said that that is where any water would get in. This has been relayed to the neighbours, but unfortunately, my understanding is that the neighbour downstairs does not believe that this is the case, and we don't have anything else to say that what it could be, despite all the experts that we've had out, the owners had out. We have spoken to the agent for the other downstairs flat, and we've been advised that these are common complaints that have happened over the course of up to 20 years, and that included the 4 previous owners to my clients owning that property. So this seems to be an ongoing thing, and I feel as if the investigation that's being done has been quite in depth. I'm not sure what more we could do there. So also it's been mentioned that my client doesn't take ownership of mutual areas with regards to buildings, etc. She's personally taken ownership of repairs that's been necessary. There was one situation where there were broken slates and a downpipe was broken in August 2023. She got the okay for repairs from all the neighbours except Yvonne, who responded January 24, and I believe there was more damage to repair as a result of the weather during that winter period. There was also a note of the chimney pot, which hadn't been fixed. That was in fact fixed within 2 days of it being reported. With regards to, sorry, I'm jumping about, but I'm just trying to address everything. With regards to parking options, again, we've got instructions and photographs in the guest information on where to park. There's a 1 parking space at the property. We instruct them to reverse in for safety reasons as well. Over and above that, we have advised them to park on Hill Street, for which there is ample free parking for any excess cars. I don't believe we get a lot of excess cars with a 2-bedroom apartment. So all information's there. I'm not aware of any ongoing issues, but again, we're contactable if there are issues. I think there was one occasion where there was a van parked in the correct space, but another neighbour had said that it was taking up a bit more space, and they asked us if we would kindly ask the neighbour to put it on the street, which was done. We phoned them immediately and they complied with that. There's been mention of guests arriving at all hours. Again, I'm not aware of guests arriving during the night or of any excess noise. I'm not aware of any parties or gatherings that's ever happened at this property. The noise that I'm aware of is the washing machine was mentioned. We've checked and it's not uneven. It's not uneven, so it's rattling about. So I'm not sure what more we could do there. Walking on the floor and cleaning of the apartment, which would be a vacuum cleaner, would be the noisiest thing. I've had no further communication on noise issues. There was a report the only one I can think of was in October 2022. The guests actually contacted us and said the neighbour knocked on the door and complained about noise. I think there was either 2 or 3 guests staying at that time. I think it was 2 adults with a child. Apologies if that's my memory's not serving me well. But again, there was no parties. It was during the day. I think it was walking on the floor, and we've monitored it since with no issues. I think that the last thing I would really comment on is there's been notes that, and it's been said before, I've stood in front of you before for the planning application where a lot of these things were discussed. And a lot of these things were, at the time, were, you said that these weren't specific to short-term lets. Walking past windows, for example, it's not specific to a short-term let. Parking, people walking on floors, washing machines. What we do feel is if we've got an advantage over maybe long-term lets or owner-occupied, is that we can actually do something about it. If there is a parking issue or any issues, we are contactable and we will do something about it if we feel that the guests are causing a concern that's unnecessary. So I feel as if we've got almost an advantage over other kind of occupancies on that. It was also noted that, or said on a few occasions, that we were operating illegally. We had a guest, we've been operating since late September. Our first guests were the 30th of September, and then on the 7th of October, and then the 12th of October. And we've communicated that, and I'm not sure why it keeps getting mentioned that we did not have people in there prior to the 1st of October deadline. We take these things very, we're a company, like I say, that managed 70 properties. We're not here to go against the licensing requirements, and we've not done it on this occasion. So I'd like just to make a strong note that that is not the case. And I'd hope if there's any further comments on other objections that I can maybe offer a feedback on them. But I hope I've given a good view of how we manage things. If there's anything anybody feels we can do better or more, we're always open to listening and acting on if that's the right head. Thank you.
Can I now move to the objector, Yvonne Ogilvie, for her comments on her objection, please.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry, I haven't been in touch. I've been ill, a lot of caused by the noise from upstairs. First of all, the objection that was regarding the bins, that was a one-off objection. The communal gardens, I don't believe I have at any time complained about Pam Stewart not looking after, Pam Warner not looking after the communal gardens or the shared area. That is not in any of my letters. That hasn't happened. The water damage, this was ongoing, and the owners got a leak detection specialist who looked at the property and told me that once the leaks were repaired, my wall would no longer be damp. He did mention a leak from the the condensate pipe of the boiler. Now, I wrote to the agents and to the owners asking if they would confirm if leaks had been found and if these leaks had affected my property. All I got back was the issues had been attended to, though the dripping continued. Now, for a leak detection specialist to tell me that my wall would dry out after the leak had been repaired shows you that that hadn't been attended to. And I was given this information. The agent for the other flat, I can't remember what he said about that. There was a tenant in the other flat when the people upstairs purchased this. She was approached by the owner of the flat to ask if she had any problems, and she said no, she didn't hear noise, but she appreciated what it was like for me because of what she'd experienced previously. What she didn't say was she'd put up privacy screens in her conservatory and in her windows because of people passing by. Parking, there has been problems with parking, but that's been sorted out, I believe. Regarding guests coming in at all hours, there have been people coming in 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning, leaving at odd hours. The ones that came in at 2:30 proceeded to have what sounded like a party. They had the living room window open, and I had to go out and shout out and ask if they could keep the noise down, which they did. They closed the window but continued partying inside. The next night it was the same. The next night I went up to speak to them, and I was told they were celebrating a birthday party. I'm trying to remember everything the gentleman said. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for this meeting. They said they'd spoken to other neighbours about this. I don't know who they've spoken to because no one's told me that they have. I'm sorry. My main complaint was the noise that's coming from that flat. The owner, when she purchased it, said she was purchasing it for her daughter. This did not happen. She then told me she was going to be making it letting the property out, which I assumed would be like the flat next door, a long-term let. The agent for that property has constantly tried to get people in who are responsible and who will fit in with the other 8 people living here. Unfortunately, I found out later from Pam that she was going to be doing a let, and the flat wasn't for her daughter. Then it transpired on the 7th of October when I understand the first guests arrived. According to an email I got from Clark Anderson, they also mentioned the first guests arriving on that date. I wasn't aware of anyone being in the flat before that. The noise started from then and it's continued. The owners refused to put carpets down. Even last night there was a couple with 2 children in to the property. But the main thing is privacy, loss of privacy, people walking back and forward, people going into my garden, very loud noises at all times of the day in the flat. It's wooden floors throughout, including the bedrooms. The living room kitchen is directly above my living room, which means there's no respite from any noise. He did mention the washing machine. That, I think, may have been sorted. However, there was one guest in putting it on 11 o'clock and again at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning. He mentioned that I'd gone up to people in October 22, which is right. It was 2 adults and 2 teenage children who were extremely loud all through the evening and into early hours of the morning. I did approach them and apologise about going up and said, I'm sorry, but it's noisy. We'll try and keep the noise down. I wrote to the agents about that, and they said the people had been in and they'd extended their stay. Now, seemingly, when these people left, it took them about 3 or 4 hours to clean the flat. It was people who I understand didn't have a home and were living there until they found a permanent home. I'm trying to think of his other comments. As far as I know, all my neighbours are not happy with this, but I'm the one who's suffering the most because it's directly above my property. I understood the legislation said that they had to have the licence prior to taking anybody in. Now, according to that, it was the 7th of October that I found people, the first people, and as far as I'm aware, there wasn't anybody in the property before that. Law licensing and planning have been aware of this since October 2022, and nothing's been done. The planning wrote out and told them to stop taking guests because they didn't have a change of use. They continued to take guests non-stop. And it's been horrific. All I can say is had a horrific effect on my health, both mental and physical, the noise and the problems. There is no privacy here at all. I don't know what else he said, but as far as I'm aware, he didn't speak to any of the other neighbours. There was a permanent, I don't know if I told you, there was a long-term let in this property for 16 years. I never, ever heard over that time the noise or disturbance that I'm experiencing now. That lady had a family who would come in regularly. Again, there was no noise from that. I'm sorry, I've forgotten everything he said because I don't have the facilities to write it down. Is there anything you wanted to ask me?
I think you've covered. Hello, I think you've covered most of it.
Now, I did contact the agents more than once about this, and I was told I should be more acceptable to people coming into the property and be aware. I mean, I sent you the emails I've got and sent to you, but I've got a number of emails from the agent as well.
Yeah, we did receive your emails, and we have had a chance to actually to read them.
Now, can I just interrupt for a second? He did say there'd been a huge turnover of people because of communal issues. That is not so. When the property was bought originally from the agents, the previous agents, from the tenant that had been in for 16 years, it was bought to modernise and sell on to Miller Homes as an exchange. It was empty for a while. Then the people that bought it, after that, there was, I think, I don't have it written down, but none of them moved because of communal issues. I know there was one lady, young lady, who didn't contribute to communal issues and maintaining the property, and she wasn't happy about me asking her to help with the shared area. I'm almost 76 years old. I was being left to deal with this on my own. Now, when people buy a property, they're given deeds. The people that moved in approached me and asked me the areas that were needing done, what had to be done. I went over it with them, but I also said, please read your deeds. It clearly states on that what you need to do. Now, the other thing he mentioned was the downpipe that was broken. Now, that was caused by the chimney of flat D, the one above me, falling down, and probably may have damaged the slates but broke the downpipe, which was broken for weeks. At no time did I object to that being repaired. I wrote to them asking about it being repaired.
Thank you.
That the owner should pay. Could I just say, I did say the owner should pay for that because it was damage caused by her property.
Thank you, Ms Ogilvie. I think you've given a fair picture of your objection.
I'm so sorry it's mixed up, but I wasn't prepared for this.
No, that's fine. I'll now move back to Stuart. Would you like to comment on anything that Ms Ogilvie has said?
I'm not sure what I can add. Maybe there is a Ring doorbell, which is monitored by the owner now, which was installed as a measure just to monitor guests. We obviously have an element of control over what guests are going in, especially with Airbnb, where we can look at their profiles and their history of renting. I think we could go back and forth on a lot of stuff. I mean, there's stuff that my client doesn't agree with. that's been said, and again, Yvonne's saying that she doesn't agree with some of the things that I've said on behalf of my client. But I think one of the things I would want to really make clear is that my client is very active with communal areas and with their own repair. I hope I've demonstrated our management. We're a well-formed company. I'm a local guy. I live in Angus myself. But
I think it's fair to say that we probably don't want to move into a he said, she said situation. I think we've heard from both. So if it's okay, could I just then move then to your summing up? Sorry, I'm missing the questions from members.
Members have any questions of the applicant or
Yeah.
the objector?
Do members have any questions of the applicant and or the objector? Councillor Melville.
Yeah, thank you. It's for the objector. There's been numerous allegations of noise, significant noise at unsociable hours. And I just wondered if the objector had, on those occasions, informed the police of that behaviour or not.
Yes, I did. I contacted the police more than once, and they also came out to visit me.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? No. With that then, can we move then maybe to Stuart to sum up?
Yep, thank you. So just to quickly touch on that, we've not aware of any police activity. I'm not saying that's not accurate. We can't act or comment on something that we're not aware of. We've not been contacted by the police about any noise disturbance. So I'm assuming there was no issues when the police went out. I think there would be two things I would sort of sum up with is I do believe, I know that this is a different hearing, but this is almost a mirror of the planning application meeting. And my views on this haven't changed, that these are not specific to short-term let. And I believe that was why the planning permission was granted previously, because none of these objections were specific to short-term let. And we don't want an upset neighbour. We've got managed a number of properties that are in blocks of apartments. We work with the factors and the neighbours, and there's no difference here. I'm happy to meet with the neighbour personally. If there's measures that we can put in place to minimise any disruption. I'm not sure what I can do that. I'm not sure what the issues are as a short-term let. I think it's just having people that are above, living above, that might be the issue. But if there's anything I can do to minimise or stop any inconvenience, then I'm happy to discuss that and put things in place. But yeah, I don't know what else I can say, but thank you.
That's fine. Thank you very much for that summing up. With that, I think it's now time that we go to the recommendations.
Can I make another comment, please?
No, sorry.
Excuse me.
You can't.
I was just wondering whether Mr. Lees would like to give any comments on some of the allegations that were made on behalf of Angus Council.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I wasn't previously aware of this one until it sort of came about, and I remember it now. I remember writing out to the factor, I think it was Clark Anderson's, and I don't know if it was yourself, Stuart, that I spoke with, but I spoke with somebody there and confirmed what you said there, that you did have the premises prior to the deadline date, the 1st of October, and you did have somebody in then. I took you as that. I did try and attempt to contact Yvonne over the phone just to confirm that with her, but I was never able to get through to her.
Okay, we'll now move to recommendations. Recommendation 1, to consider the reasons, well, we've done that, sorry, we've done the late objection. So 2 is to grant the application, or 3, to grant the application subject to standard and or any additional conditions. Or 4, to defer the application for a period not exceeding 6 months from the date of the application. Or 5, to refuse the application on one or more of the grounds referred to in paragraph 5. I'll ask members for motion. Councillor Melville.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I have to say, first off, I don't think that some of the issues raised in objection are unique to the setting of short-term lets. I've lived, as I'm sure many members on the committee have, in a flat with people above me. Hoovers, washing machines, walking sounds, folk coming in late at night. That's not unique to a short-term let, and it is just about having somebody above you. So I don't particularly think that's a specific reason to refuse it. I also have to say that I welcome the significant investigation by the owner and the agent and the action that they have taken to some of the issues that have been addressed. I also wanted to say that some of the issues and the objections are to do with the guests and not the actual operation of the short-term let. What we've heard from Stuart is that they've got a sort of code of practice for their guests, for which they expect them to abide by. If guests don't abide by that, that is the responsibility of the guests and not the responsibility of the operators of the short-term let. And action can be taken at that point in terms of whether or not these people can stay again. I think the applicant, the owner, they've done all reasonably that they can do with regard to this, and I would move the grant subject to the standard conditions. Councillor Clark.
Yes, Convener. Probably like my colleagues, I'm finding this really quite sad because it's just such a shame that people get to such an impasse, which I see is happening here. But I have to come down on balance, and I think the remarks made when you live in a flatted area, there has to be a bit of come and go. I grew up way back, certainly, but that was in what was termed the close at that time, with several people around. It's not much different. The noise was unbelievable, really, because it was just part of life. Dogs barking, children, and all sorts of things, even on the stairs. So I suppose this is different now because you've got a commercial element to an extent. But I would have to say that I think, on balance, every possible mitigation or amelioration has been addressed. I really feel that people have done that. And whilst I've got sympathy, I'm going to come down on the balance and say we should grant this licence.
Thank you. So we have a proposer and seconder. Is there anyone else who wants to say anything? No? Is that then unanimous? Agreed. Agreed. Okay, the application has been granted.
Just make sure it says for 12D Hill Street.
And it's, yeah, 12D Hill Street and not Terrace. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move to item 8, page 24 in your papers. This is taxi and private hire licenses.
Yvonne Ogilvie
is now exiting.
This is the annual review of the taxi licence charges. Am I correct in that? Yeah. And you'll see from the recommendations that the recommendation is basically that they don't increase this year. Are there any questions on this report that people will have read? No? We'll move then straight to the recommendations, which is 1, we note the legal obligation incumbent upon the Council in relation to fees in respect of taxi and private hire, driver and operator licences. 2, notes the actual 2003-2004 and estimated 2004-2005 budget, income received and expenditure incurred in respect of taxi and private hire, driver and operator licences as contained in Appendix 1 to the report. 3, agrees to make no change to the fees to be charged in respect of taxi and private hire operators and driver licences in respect of the period 1st of September 24 to the 31st of August 25, and 4, notes that the fees in respect of taxi and private hire licences will be reviewed following the end of financial year 2004-2005 with a view to setting fees to be applied with effect from the 1st of September 2005. Do we agree, all of them? Agreed. Okay, thank you. We will now move to
The private part.
item 9.
John, this is the private part of Civic, so could the live stream be stopped?